Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast over on YouTube. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Over there is Matt Pennie from the beautiful, lovely city of Boston, Massachusetts. We are going to dive deep into prospects in the 2022 NBA Draft over the course of the month of June. Today, we're talking Arizona wing Ben Mathurin. As usual, the structure here is going to be Matt Pennie diving into some of the vital information you need to know about Ben Mathurin. Then we're going to dive into his offense, his defense, his overall prospect evaluation, and then maybe a couple of team fits that make sense. So, Matt, I give you the floor. Give us everything we need to know about Ben Mathurin.
I'll try to be concise here. Ben Mathurin from Arizona, 6'6" in shoes, 6'9" wingspan, averaged 17.7 points per game this season, 5.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, shot 45% from the field, 36.9% from three, 76.4% from the foul line. He had 25 or more points 8 times this season. The game that stands out the most is the 30.8 rebound NCAA tournament win against TCU, which he mixed in a few poster dunks as well. In March alone, he averaged close to 20 points per game while improving his rebounds and assists and shot 35% from three. He made improvement in scoring from 10 points per game last season while bumping his shots per game from 7 to 13. His three-point shot dipped a little bit from 42% to 37%, which is to be expected at that volume, and double-figure scoring in all but 3 games this past year.
Just a really consistent player this year. He is an incredible athlete, and he is a great shooter. Those are the two things that you see. He has this combination of athleticism where he's light on his feet. He gets off the ground with ease. And then, man, does he have some force. He has power. He's a real... He just like kind of gives you energy with his athleticism as a dunker, right? Yeah. I really quite like him as a guy that can get out in transition, as a cutter. But you're drafting Ben Mathurin because he's a great shooter at the end of the day. He's good off of screens. He has great movement shooting ability. I loved him as a transition trailer this year. I thought that Arizona ran some interesting plays where he'd kind of be able to hunt them off of dribble handoffs. Yeah. Just has such a pure release at the end of the day, and can load into them any way he needs to. He can take a left-right step. He can hop step into them. Shot prep is absolutely terrific. He gets great alignment. And the other thing is that typically he can actually just kind of catch, off of his alignment a little bit, wrong-footed, and then jump and realign in midair because he has such good hang time and he's such a good athlete. So I really quite like Ben as a shooter and as a scorer that translates to the next level. Maybe not necessarily immediately as a star, but I think early on in his career, he will be effective because of that ability to hunt shots from the three-point line and space the floor.
Yeah, at his best in the open court or taking that 1 to 2 dribbles to score in the half court. And you see, like when watching, his eyes light up when he gets a rebound and can push and go ahead and extend and do what he likes to do on the break and try to dunk on guys. And he uses his shoulders and explosion to seal off his man and finish. It's not anything weak when he goes up off the bounce. And he keeps that balance and his body control on drives. He squares well, turns, and always has seemingly a clean release too. Arizona ran this high ball screen where he started low and comes back down off like a pin down screen. They love to run that end of clock, end of game, and he always catches it fluidly, squares and shoots. He's added more of an in-between game. That was sort of the knock last season. Can he develop more beyond of just catch and shoot? I thought he got there a little bit. Needs to be added to even more, but there's growth. He showed that. Doesn't love pressure. He will turn his back or retreat, dribble a little bit, so he has to work through how do I do with double teams or when I have a longer defender that forces me away from the hoop. But it's simplicity. He's not the best creator, and I don't want him to try to do too much out there. But if you bottle up the good stuff that he does, he's going to be a very good NBA player.
Yeah, it was a good finisher. He made 60% of his shots at the rim. A lot of those were assisted. I liked what he could do attacking off of closeouts with a couple of dribbles, right?
Yeah.
He could get into that little 2-foot jump stop floater that was effective for him. He occasionally hit a mid-range pull-up. Look, the percentages on those numbers weren't amazing, but I think that he's so early in his trajectory at this point. He was a teenager this year, and I think that he got better throughout the course of the year as a playmaker, as a passer. Actually averaged 3.2 assists per game as an off-ball player over the course of his final 15 games. I thought he started to play a little bit more unselfishly and figure out where defenders were, helping off of and trying to collapse onto him and making some high-level reads. I don't think he's a negative playmaker for his teammates anymore. I do think he is a very raw playmaker with ball in hand. It's going to take some time for him in terms of being able to create his own shot. Has some potential to do it, but I think he's probably going to be best second side, attacking closeouts, maybe getting into that mid-range for that jump stop floater, getting into the mid-range to finish above the rim, or getting into the paint to finish above the rim. It's going to take time for Ben on the offensive end at everything other than shooting, but the shooting gives him a base to start with that I think is valuable. Now, the defense is going to take longer.
Yeah.
Should be a great defender.
Should.
All
That's
of
in my
the
notes
tools
too.
to be a great
Athletic
defender.
enough. Yeah.
6'6", powerful. I think that when he locked in defensively, he showcased some ability to wall up. He could cut off angles. I thought that he had active hands. One thing that he does randomly that I think is valuable in the NBA, he kind of has active hands in dribble handoff exchanges or anything like that, where he's really just trying to get in there and bother opposing ball handlers and guys that are running those. I mean, other than it's really frustrating to watch him defensively. It's just way too easy for guys to get by him right now. Where are you at on him defensively?
Similarly, I thought he needed to be more of a multiple effort guy on defense. If he gets hit with that first screen, he just kind of dies. It's I'll see you next play. And not low enough on those closeouts. Everything seems to be just a half second or a quarter second too slow. It's there. You can pull it out of him to do it, but he doesn't all the time. And often his offense will fuel his defense. He makes a few good plays on offense that he's really locked in defensively, but you need that lock at more times. He's too athletic to not change some of these habits and be a contributor. He'll contest some shots to the perimeter, but it's all there. He just has to put all those things together.
His most common play this year was he'd get beat either because he got, clipped on a screen, or he'd wildly aggressively close out and just be totally off balance. And then he'd just turn and go for the poke from behind.
Right.
Deal.
And then you're completely out of the play.
And then he's completely out of the play. It was just, it was effort at the end of the day. He just has to improve his defensive effort, just point blank period. He's second late rotationally defensively, a little bit more often than you like to see. A lot of this stuff is polish. I think that the biggest thing is he needs to find a coach early in his career that can iron these things out. I have hopes that he has all the tools to be good defensively. He's just not good yet defensively. So where are you at on Ben Mathurin? Because I think I'm a little bit higher on the skill set and the potential upside than you are. I like the athleticism. I like the shooting combination, and I like the potential to be a switchable defender. You're not drafting him for what he is now. You're drafting him for what he can be.
Yeah.
Where do you got him?
Where can he be? I have him at 11 right now. I see him as this number 2 or 3 guy at best. That's an efficient scorer and a little bit of a change of pace guy. Definitely off the ball. I don't see as a combo, but you may more than I do. Best in an up-tempo system too, or playing versus that tilted court. I think we're in the same range though, somewhere in that Portland pick at 7 down to I don't think he probably gets past say Cleveland at 14. Could work in Washington, could work with the Knicks. That's maybe even Charlotte with their pick there. Those are the teams that are probably targeting him the most.
Yeah, I have him somewhere in that 6 to 10, 6 to 11 range. Portland makes a lot of sense. As you said, San Antonio, I think, could make some sense because they have a lot of smaller guards. If you put him next to Devin Vassell, I think that could actually be a nice little combo fit. They obviously have Keldon Johnson, but the idea of getting a legit floor spacer to put next to those two, as opposed to Devin, who can shoot it, but isn't a high volume shooter. Keldon is not a high volume shooter. Getting a high volume shooter next to those guys could actually, I think, accentuate their skills. Washington makes a lot of sense. New York makes a lot of sense. Charlotte, getting kickouts from LaMelo make a lot of sense. New Orleans, obviously, just continuing to accumulate shooting for when Zion Williamson comes back, and then also accumulating shooting for Herb Jones as well, given the impact that he's going to make defensively. So I think Ben Mathurin has a real chance to be a terrific basketball player. It just might take a little bit more time. This has been the Game Theory Podcast. That's Matt Pennie over there. I'm Sam Vecenie over here. We will be back later this week with more NBA Draft Breakdown.